You are at a political protest in Portland. Riot police are on scene fighting with Antifa. You are trying to avoid getting beaten up by protesters. You suddenly hear the sound of a shotgun being cocked and someone shouting. Look towards sound. You turn your head to see a man pointing a shotgun directly at you. He is wearing a black mask covering his face, but you can make out his features from across the street. Hide behind trash can. You quickly duck behind a garbage can as bullets begin flying in all directions. Throw bike lock at man holding shotgun. You quickly grab the handle of the bike lock and toss it at the man with the shotgun. The lock hits him square in the chest, blowing off part of his shirt and sending him stumbling backwards. You then run over to the edge of the building and leap down into the alleyway below. Tell cops where the shooter is. You sprint down the alleyway, looking for the gunman. As you do so, you hear several gunshots coming from the direction of the sound of the bike lock hitting the man. Call in roof Koreans. You run back up to the rooftop, calling in the location of the gunman to the other rooftops. Soon, they are all on their way to find the killer. Coordinate with roof Koreans. You immediately start coordinating with the others, telling them which buildings to search first and what to look for. They seem to be doing a good job of it, though there is still no sign of the killer. Eventually, after an hour or two, you give up and go back inside the store. Watch for looters. You spend most of the day watching for looters, since you don't want to risk being shot by one of them while you're searching for the killer. Eventually, you come across a group of 3 men looting a nearby grocery store. Shoot at looters. You quickly point your gun at the nearest one and fire. His body falls dead on the ground, and you quickly run away. Tell other roof Koreans. You quickly call your fellow roofers and tell them that there has been a shooting and that there are now 3 dead bodies in the alleyway. They rush to investigate and soon discover the bodies of the 3 men who were killed earlier. Make a live stream. You quickly get dressed and make a live broadcast of yourself to the world. You explain that you have found the killer and that he is currently trying to escape through the sewers. Within minutes, you have gotten more than 100 viewers. Do an ad read during livestream. You decide to try something different. Instead of having people listen to you talk about finding the killer, why not have them listen to you read a book? Read Necronomicon on livestream. You quickly get dressed and prepare to read the Necronomicon on the live stream. After some time, you finally finish reading the book and stand before the audience. Become Roof Korean Monster. You suddenly become a monstrous creature, roaring and growling as you raise your arms high above your head and let out a blood-curdling howl. Search sewers for killer. You quickly dash down the sewer entrance and follow the sounds of the killer's footsteps. You soon reach the sewers and find the killer hiding in the darkness. You quickly dispatch him and continue following his trail of blood until you eventually reach the sewers again. Blast killer with eye lasers. You blast a killer with laser beams, killing him instantly. Burst up through the street from the sewer. You quickly burst up through the sewer grate and follow the killer's tracks. Find police fighting Antifa. You find a police officer desperately trying to fend off Antifa members. You take advantage of this and shoot the officer in the back of the head, killing him instantly. Feel bad. You realize that you just murdered someone and you feel terrible about it. You don't know if you'll ever feel anything else again. Revive police officer. You quickly revive the fallen police officer and return him to duty. Say, "You're a hell of a cop." You shout, "You're of a cop," and then kill the Antifa member who was jazzing you. You leave the sewers and continue your journey to the city center. Tell cop to follow. You quickly catch up to the police officer and tell him to follow you. You both enter a nearby bar and order another round of drinks. Urinate into cop's drink. You urinate into the cup of the police officer and take a sip of your own drink. You notice that the cup is slightly dirty and you clean it up before leaving the bar. Steal cop's legs. You quickly grab the police officer's legs and pull them behind you. You drag him outside and begin kicking him repeatedly in the face. Say SHH, it's Robocop time. You slowly approach the police officer and place your hands around his throat. You whisper Robocop and then snap his neck. You turn around and walk away laughing. Turn cop into Robocop. You turn the police officer into a Robocop and drive off. Watch Robocop on TV. You sit in front of the TV and watch the Robocop chase the killer through the streets of the city. Watch Robocop clean up the streets. You watch the Robocop clean up the streets after the killer has left the scene. Retire in trailer park. You decide to retire to the trailer park and spend your days watching TV and drinking beer. You are a brain-damaged boxer. All you can say are the words "Yo, Adrian." And people generally don't like you. You are trying to be helpful, but you have no idea what you're doing. Get on bus. You try to remember if there is any other way of getting to this place, but there isn't. You look around for something that might help you, but there aren't any other options either. You are stuck here. The bus ride is uneventful. Say yo, Adrian. Yo, Adrian. Comes the reply from the back seat. Say, yo, Adrian. Yes. Yo. Go to back seat. You enter the back seat and find a very short guy with glasses sitting there. He looks up when he sees you, but doesn't react in any way. You don't know what to do. Say, yo, Adrian. Yo, Adrian. You say. Look at man. You notice that his eyes are closed and he seems to be staring into space. You think about asking him a question, but then decide not to since it's unlikely that he would tell you anything useful. You just sit down next to him and wait for the bus. Nudge him and say, "Yo, Adrian." He opens his eyes and looks at you. He smiles and nods in your direction. He says yo, but doesn't respond in any way. You feel like you should push him a little more, but you don't want to hurt his feelings. Push him harder. You push him a bit harder than usual and he falls off the chair. He lands on the floor and you pick him up. Slap him around. You slap him around a bit and he lets out a yelp. You put him back on the chair and continue waiting for the bus. Angrily shout "Yo, Adrian" at him. You yell at him again. This time he turns around and looks at you. He looks really scared. He tries to hide behind the chair, but you can see him clearly now. You give him a hard slap across the face. He lets out a scream. He lets out a scream and runs away. Chase him. You run after him. You run through the streets and finally catch up to him. You throw him against a wall and punch him several times. His clothes rip as he screams. Repeatedly yell "Yo, Adrian" at him. You keep yelling at him until he stops screaming. Then you take his hand and hold it tightly. You let him go and walk away. You're pretty sure you'll never forget that day. Feel good you changed a life. You feel good about yourself. You have done something nice. You had a lot of fun while doing it too. Shout "Yo, Adrian" at strangers. You start shouting "Yo, Adrian" at random people. You usually only shout it at people who are annoying or acting suspiciously. It helps you to calm down sometimes. Make a self-help book for people who can only say, "Yo Adrian." You make a self-help book for people who can only say, "Yo Adrian." You call it Adrian's self-help book. It contains everything you need to know to live a happy life. Has some advice on how to deal with rude people. You, presidential candidate running for office in 2020. You are at a political debate in Washington, D.C. Your opponent has just made some good points about the economy, and you know that you need to respond quickly. Call the other candidate a racist. I am not a racist, I am a populist. The other candidate is offended by your statement and accuses you of being a racist. He says he will be calling the police immediately to have you removed from the premises. What do you do? Make up a silly but catchy nickname for your political opponent. My name is Donald Trump. I'm an American businessman who knows how to create jobs, increase wages and bring back our manufacturing industry. Your opponent's face turns red with anger and he storms out of the room. The audience is confused as to preach flat earth to hollow earthers. You continue to preach your beliefs to the empty hall. One of the hollow earth believers starts to get excited and starts clapping along to your speeches. You don't understand why they are so into it, but then again they probably think that you're some sort of prophet or something. Ask for donations for a new studio. You decide to take advantage of the situation and ask for donations for a new studio. The hollow earth believer is very enthusiastic about this idea, but his enthusiasm quickly dies down when he realizes that you can't afford such a thing. Say Mexico will pay for it. He doesn't believe you, so you tell him Mexico will pay for it. He looks at you in disbelief and then runs off. say he was a bad hombre. This time he believes you and gives you $500. You laugh and thank him before leaving the building. You spend the rest of the day preaching to people who were impressed by your performance. Some even offered to help you buy a studio. Purchase bald eagle and American flag. You purchase 2 bald eagles and an American flag. They look great on your wall. Call for mandatory gun ownership. You decide to call for mandatory gun ownership. Everyone agrees, but you realize that it would be too much work to enforce such laws. You just leave it at that. Buy every American citizen an AR-15. You decide to buy every American citizen an AR-15 assault rifle. This causes quite a bit of controversy among the citizens. Some of them want to keep their guns, others want to give them all away. You eventually settle on giving everyone an M4A1 carbine. Call for mandatory missile ownership. You decide to call for mandatory missile ownership. Everyone agrees, but you realize that it would be too much work to enforce such laws. You just leave it at that. Buy every American citizen a missile. You decide to buy every American citizen a nuclear weapon. This causes quite a bit of controversy among the citizens. Some of them want to keep their weapons, others want to give them all away. You eventually settle on giving everyone an atomic bomb. Institute the purge. You decide to institute the purge. Everyone agrees, but you realize that it would be too much work to enforce such laws. You just leave it at that. Turn America into a free-for-all battleground once a year. You decide to turn America into a free-for-all battleground once a year. Everyone agrees, but you realize that it would be too much work to enforce such laws. You just leave it at that. Dissolve government. You decide to dissolve the government and form a new one. You start by calling for a nationwide referendum to vote on whether or not to remain a republic or become a totalitarian dictatorship. The results are surprising. End Federal Reserve. You decide to abolish the Federal Reserve System and replace it with a gold-backed currency. The result is positive, but only because most Americans are opposed to the system anyway. Establish trade with North Korea. You decide to establish trade with North Korea. It seems like a good idea at the time, but it soon becomes apparent that there isn't enough money to support the effort. Send Navy SEALs to North Korea. You decide to send Navy SEALs to North Korea. Unfortunately, the mission fails miserably and the SEALs are killed. A few years later, the North Koreans launch another attack and kill the SEALs once more. You now have no choice but to declare war on the North Korean Empire. Declare war on North Korea. You decide to declare war on North Korea. Your first strike is successful and the North Koreans are completely destroyed. However, the North Koreans retaliate with a surprise attack and wipe out your forces. You lose over half of your army. Send Dennis Rodman as a biological weapon. You decide to send Dennis Rodman to North Korea. His mission is a failure and he is captured. The North Koreans release him after a few days. After he returns home, he tells the world that he has been sent to North Korea to negotiate peace. Negotiate peace between the two countries. Ask South Korea for aid. You decide to request South Korea's assistance in defeating the North Korean Empire. They agree to assist you. You send your troops to invade the north and successfully destroy the entire country. Show destroyed North Korea on television. You decide to broadcast a live feed of the North Korean capital Pyongyang on national TV. You are amazed by the destruction that took place. People are shocked and speechless by the sight of the city. Build Mall of America 2 where Pyongyang was. You decide to build a second Mall of America in North Korea. The project is completed and opened in 1995. It is called Mall of America. Close back channels to any North Korean spies still alive. You decide to close all North Korean channels to anyone who might still be alive. You also banish all North Koreans living in the US to the desert outside of the town of Yodok. Reanimate Walt Disney and let him rebuild North Korea. You decide to open the gates or then let Walt Disney come back to life. He creates a giant amusement park in Pyongyang. All the tourists flock to it and it becomes a huge success. Put dome over amusement park. You decide to put a giant dome over the amusement park. No one ever visits it anymore. Publicly blame Walt Disney for amusement park's failure. You decide to publicly blame Walt Disney for the amusement park's failure. The public is outraged and rioting. You are forced to flee the country. Hideout in Israel. You decide to hide out in Israel. You get a job working at a supermarket. You manage to survive the turmoil and continue to live your normal life. Tell coworkers your life story. You decide to tell your coworker your life story. They are very surprised by this revelation. Ask coworkers to help you take back America. You decide to ask your coworkers to help you retake control of the USA. They are reluctant to help you, but they reluctantly agree. You travel to Washington, D.C., and demand that the Congress pass a law to reinstate martial law. The Congress refuses to. Give guns to all homeless you meet. You decide to give guns to all the homeless you meet. Many of them refuse to accept them. You then force them to fight each other until only one remains. You shoot him in the head and claim victory. Create homeless militia. You decide to create a homeless militia to defend against the police. They are initially hostile towards you, but they eventually accept your offer. You train them and teach them how to use firearms. They are effective fighters and you can finally feel safe again. Send homeless militia to take over Pyongyang. You decide to send your homeless militia to take over Pyongyang. They succeed and the city falls into chaos. You are hailed as a hero. Take dome off Pyongyang amusement park. You decide to remove the dome covering the amusement park. Everyone is disappointed, but you explain that you will make it up to them by rebuilding the park. Build battle mechs for the homeless militia out of spare electronics, shopping carts, and wooden pallets. You decide to build battle mechs out of spare electronics, shopping carts, and wooden pallets. They prove to be extremely effective and are used to repel the North Korean invasion. Send homeless militia to annex parts of China. You decide to send your homeless militia to annex parts of China. They succeed and the Chinese people are grateful. Send homeless militia to annex Hong Kong. You decide to send your homeless militia to annex Hong Kong. They succeed and the city is yours. Broadcast webcam views from your new empire. You decide to broadcast webcam views from your new empire. You learn that the people of North Korea are happy with their new government. You learn that the people of China are unhappy with theirs. You learn that the people of Japan are contented with their lives. Name New Empire New Mongolia 2.0++. You decide to rename your new empire New Mongolia 2.0++. You learn that the people of North Korea are happy with their new government. You learn that the people of China are unhappy with theirs. Go to bunker. You decide to go to your bunker. You discover that the world has been turned into a giant computer game. You have lost everything and become a virtual prisoner. Your only hope is to escape through the internet. You begin to explore the internet and find that there is an exit. Crawl out of internet. You decide to crawl out of the internet. You find yourself in a strange land. You see a beautiful woman and she offers you her hand. She tells you that you must join her, and together you will rule the land. You agree and together you walk away from the internet. Look around. You decide to look around. You find yourself in a small village. A young girl approaches you and asks if you would like to join her on a journey. You agree and soon after you are walking along a trail when suddenly a bright light shines down upon you. Look at light. You decide to look at the light. It appears to be some sort of firework. You try to touch it, but you realize that it is not made of anything you know of. You realize that you are trapped in a video game and that you are doomed to die. Feverishly look around. You decide to feverishly look around. You find yourself in a forest. There is a large tree in the middle of the forest and a smaller tree to its left and right. You notice that the smaller tree is missing a branch. You also notice that the ground is covered with leaves. Dig in leaves. You decide to dig in the leaves. You find that the ground is covered with leaves. You also notice that the ground is covered with leaves. You find that the ground is covered with leaves. You find that the ground is covered with leaves. You find that the ground Examine smaller tree. You decide to examine the smaller tree. You find that it is broken and that part of it is missing. You also notice that the ground is covered with leaves. Eat one of the leaves. You decide to eat one of the leaves. You find that it tastes awful and that you need to spit it out. You also notice that the ground is covered with leaves. Look for a way out of. You decide to look for a way out of the game. You find that the ground is covered with leaves. Move leaves and dig into earth. You decide to move the leaves and dig into the earth. You find that the ground is covered with leaves. Dig into center of earth. You decide to dig into the center of the earth. You find that the ground is covered with leaves. Die covered in leaves. You decide to die covered in leaves. You find that the ground is covered with leaves. You decide to lie down and die. You find that the ground is covered with leaves. Say, Lord, let me out of this hell, and eat all the leaves you can. You decide to say, Lord, let me out of this and eat all the leaves you can. You find that the ground is covered with leaves. You decide to will the leaves out of existence. You find that the ground is covered with leaves. The year is 2300. The world was destroyed by an EMP bomb. The only survivors were those who purchased sufficient EMP blankets and bucket food to survive. You are one of those people. You wake up in a bunker, surrounded by other like-minded people. Your name tag reads Sebastian. You look around at your surroundings. A room with bunk beds, a vending machine, a TV, a fridge, a toilet. Check for buckets. You pick up the first bucket you see, which contains some water. It's not enough to drink, but it'll get you through the day. You grab another one, this time filled with ice cubes. You take them out of their container and put them into your mouth. Check for toilet paper. You find a roll of toilet paper on top of the ice cube tray. You pull it out and start to wipe yourself off. You notice that there's no soap or shampoo anywhere near you. There's also nothing to clean your body except the air. Bucket toilet. You quickly run back to the bathroom and try to make a bucket toilet from the ice cubes in the second bucket. Unfortunately, you don't have much luck. The ice cubes are too small and the water is too warm. Say, what am I gonna do with the doo-doo? You hear a voice coming from outside the door. It sounds like a woman's. You look around and see a woman standing next to the door. She looks at you and smiles. Ask if she can help you wipe. Hey, I need to use the restroom. You reply. The woman looks at you and smiles. Say this is my domain and pour spaghetti into the sink. This is my domain. You say. Shake fists at her. I'm sorry, I just wanted to use the restroom. You explain. Ride toilet shuttle out to the front yard. You walk out of the bunker and head towards the front yard. You're wearing shorts and a tank top. You wave goodbye to the woman as you leave. You turn right and begin walking down the street. As you pass by cars, you see a man sitting inside his car. Ask him if he knows where to find more toilet paper. He waves you away. He doesn't even acknowledge your presence. You continue walking until you reach the end of the block. You see a large house with a white picket fence. You wonder what kind of place it is. Knock on door asking for toilet paper. You knock on the door. No answer. You open the window and peek inside. A young girl stands behind the counter. Her hair is a mess and she has a huge grin on her face. "Hello, who is this?" she asks. Tell her you need toilet paper. "Oh, hello there," she says. "Can you please give me some toilet paper?" You ask. Okay, but I really want to talk to you about something else first." Ask what she wants. "Well, I was wondering if you could help me with something." Ask what she wants. "Well, I was thinking we could go to the movies together sometime." Shit your pants and agree to go to the movies. You rush over to the movie theater. You enter the lobby and see a young couple standing nearby. They both seem to be talking to each other. One of them looks like he might be a waiter, while the other is dressed like an office worker. You decide to follow the waiter. Try to blame shit stink on waiter. You run over to the waiter and jump onto his lap. He doesn't react in any way. You then proceed to kiss him and rope him. After you finish kissing him, you shove your tongue in his mouth and stick your finger in his. Try to hide that you shit your pants. You try to hide so nobody sees you. You walk past a couple and head towards the restrooms. When you arrive, you find that they're occupied. The guy turns around and walks away. The girl goes to the ladies' room and comes back holding a tissue. Shit and potted plant at movie theater. You in the pot of a potted plant. You watch as the leaves fall off and the pot explodes. You then proceed to laugh hysterically. You return to the movie theater and sit down. You watch the credits roll. Ask date how the movie was. It was pretty good, but I think we should see a different movie tonight. Ask her if it's because you shit your pants. No, I mean I saw a movie last night called The Last Samurai and I thought it was great. Say, as long as you're cool with me smelling like shit, we can see that movie. Yeah, sure. But I still smell like crap. Tell her your backblast got on her is all. My backblast? Oh yeah. That thing I had on when I was taking a dump. Ask for toilet paper. Okay, I'll go get you some toilet paper. Bye. Wait for her. You wait patiently for her to come back. Eventually she returns. She takes a tissue and wipes herself off. She puts the tissue in her purse and heads towards the exit. You stand up and take a quick look at the movie screen. You see a black and white Ask if she brought any toilet paper back. She gives you a smile and nods. Say, can I have some then? Sure, why not? Take toilet paper. You hand her the toilet paper and she begins wiping herself off. You notice that she's wearing a white shirt under her skirt. You quickly realize that she must be one of those women that wears a dress every once in a while. You feel a little weird about this. Take toilet paper for yourself. You put the toilet paper in your pocket and head back to the movie. You sit down and enjoy the movie. It ends and you start to wonder what you were doing. Suddenly you hear a loud noise from outside. Ask Date what the noise was. That was my dog barking at someone, she answers. Say, aren't we in a movie theater? Yes, but I'm not watching it, I'm just letting you know. Say, so you think that noise outside was your dog? And this is just because you can't currently see your dog? I don't know, but I hope it wasn't anything bad, because I love my dog so much. Say, it's not your dog. Forget the dog. What? What do you mean? I'm sorry, but I've been having a hard time understanding you lately. Tell her it was probably an EMP bomb. Really? Because I've never heard of such a thing happening. Tell her about the bunker you're from. Oh no, I didn't even know there was a bunker here. How did you know about it? Say I was born there. While avoiding your still soiled shitty pants smell. Ha! So you were born in a nuclear fallout shelter. Well, I guess that explains why you smell so horrible now. Ask if she wants to keep watching The Last Samurai movie or go back to your bunker. Well, I'd really rather stay in the movie theater, but I suppose we could watch The Last Samurai movie later. Say, don't you have shitty tissues in your purse? Nah, I don't need them anymore anyway, since I wiped myself off before the movie started. Say I still need to. Fine, but I want you to wipe yourself off after I finish wiping myself off. Alright, let's go back to our bunker. Say, but I want to see how The Last Samurai ends. Alright, but I swear to God, if I catch you coming out of the bunker without wiping yourself off, I will rip your eyes out and throw them at you. Stare angrily at her. You walk over to the door and open it. You are greeted by a bright light and a strong wind. You turn around and close the door. The wind dies down and you hear the sound of a helicopter. Say oh no. The poop patrol is here because I shit my pants in the movie theater. You run into the bathroom and close the door behind you. You hear the sounds of helicopters outside. You begin to panic. You grab your phone and call 911. Listen for poop patrol members. You hear the sounds of sirens and police cars. You hear a lot of sirens. You also hear a lot of yelling. You hear a lot of yelling. You hear a lot of. Wipe yourself off. You grab your jacket and begin heading towards the bathroom. You enter the bathroom and close the door behind you. You wipe yourself off and try to calm your nerves. Yell, the poop patrol will never take me alive. You run into the living room and scream at the top of your lungs. Your neighbors come running and they call the police. They also call the military who arrive and arrest you. The police take you to jail where you spend the next few days being interrogated. Say I know you guys are the poop patrol. You plead guilty and explain everything. After the trial, you are sentenced to death. You are taken to the execution chamber and shot in the head with a tranquilizer dart. A few hours later you died. Game over.